Breaking news out of the NBA again. Somebody asked me, is it even breaking news if it's happening like every other day for like the last month? Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is July 11th. The Lakers got Anthony Davis around midway through June to kick off the craziness of NBA free agency or the NBA offseason that really ain't been that off. We're now at July 11th. And trades are still happening. I'm talking about big time trades with potential huge ramifications. Anytime you trade one former MVP to put him alongside a guy who just won the MVP award a year ago and was the finalist, he came in second for the MVP this year. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it happened. I'll get into the details of the picks soon, but just know this, pretty much the Oklahoma City Thunder have traded their franchise player Russell Westbrook to the Miami Heat. No. To the Detroit Pistons. No. They've traded Russell Westbrook to the Houston Rockets. Oh my goodness. For Chris Paul, Mr. State Farm himself. There are so many details we need to discuss about this trade. All right. First off, I guess I should tell you guys the picks that will be sent. The Rockets will send Chris Paul 2 protected first-round picks. That's 2024 and 2026. They'll also be sending 2 pick swaps that if the Rockets, if the Thunder want to, they could swap picks with the Rockets in the years of 2021, 2025. All right, they'll send all that over to Oklahoma City, and in return, the Thunder will give up their franchise guy, Russell Westbrook. Look, the Thunder let it be known last week when they made a move for Paul George. They're starting over completely. As a matter of fact, this offseason alone, the Thunder have acquired 8 first-round picks. I'll read them to you guys momentarily. Yeah, the Thunder are starting over completely. They traded Jeremy Grant. They got picks to Denver. They traded Paul George to the Clippers. They got picks. They've now traded Russell Westbrook, and they got picks. They're done. I think that shot from Damian Lillard literally sent the Thunder into a rebuild. I don't know how Chris Paul fits in with this team. My guess is Chris Paul will be used as bait for another trade. So hold on really quickly here. This might not be the last time we see Chris Paul traded this summer, but he's 34 years old. He's on the downside of his career. He has 3 years left on his deal, $124 million. Somebody's got to pay that money. So we'll see if there are any suitors for Chris Paul, because now you're doing business with the Thunder, who have all the incentive to trade Chris Paul with a team like Houston. Maybe if, I don't know, just throw a team out there. Maybe the Houston Rockets and Minnesota Timberwolves couldn't get on the same page. Maybe Minnesota didn't want Andrew Wiggins. I'm just throwing a scenario out here. So maybe now the Thunder can try this again. Maybe Chris Paul could end up in Minnesota. Maybe the Timberwolves could try it. I'm just saying this might not be the last time we see Chris Paul on the move this summer. Now let's swing over to the other side of this thing. Now, literally, I have not drunk alcohol at all today, but this literally makes me want to just scratch my head and pull my damn hair out. I don't have much. James Harden and Russell Westbrook in the same backcourt next year. Like, it's going to happen. They did it before, but these guys were much younger, not as rich, not as ego-driven. Now these guys have both won MVPs. They've both dominated the league in different ways. I'm talking about both of these guys have led the league in points, assists, whatever. Like, it is now at the point where they're both on the, I think Westbrook's still in his prime, not the athlete that he was 2 years ago, but still nevertheless in his prime. He's averaged a triple-double for the last 3 years. Harden takes pride in being the best scorer in the league. So you got one guy that wants triple-doubles every night. You got one guy that wants just to be a lead leaguer and score every night. This is a train wreck waiting to happen, or this might be holy matrimony. My guess is train wreck, but I can't wait to see it. Night in and night out. Who wouldn't go to a Houston Rockets game now? Chris Paul being traded. Chris Paul's always injured in the regular season. What's one thing we love about Russell Westbrook? 9 times out of 10, he's available for your team. I love this. This is must-see TV because of the drama element. Are they going to be good? Probably not. But nevertheless, it'll be drama-filled. Now, speaking about Russell Westbrook's contract, 4 years, $176 million are left on his deal. Got a player option on the last year of his deal. Could very well make $47 million if he opts in. So most likely he'll opt in. This was a huge risk for the Houston Rockets to make a move like this. Daryl Morey, he let it be known this summer that he planned on making some type of moves, that everybody not named James Harden was up for grabs this summer. We saw the Houston Rockets make an attempt at Jimmy Butler, bringing him in. It failed. They couldn't find a suitor for Clint Capella. They wanted a first-round pick for Clint Capella to then do a sign and trade with the Philadelphia 76ers. At the end of the day, Jimmy Butler just decided to go to Miami and just leave that Houston drama alone, right? So the Rockets have let it be known that they were looking to make moves. I think with Kevin Durant leaving the Warriors, Klay Thompson being down to March, to me, I thought the Rockets could have stood pat and tried to run it back per se, right? But they look at it like, yo, we couldn't beat Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, no KD on our home court in a Game 6. We were never going to beat the Golden State Warriors. And I think they heard that message, and they decided to just pretty much dump the team and start over again. To me, this is what you're doing, starting over again. Look, James Harden, in his last presser of the season, when he asked, following the Rockets' disappointing loss to the Warriors, he was asked, what do you think this team needs to do? And I remember his words exactly. A couple months ago, he said, I know what we need to do. Those are his exact words there. I'm quoting word for word. I know exactly what we need to do. And he didn't go any further with that. He just said it and kind of just left it alone. And I wondered, what does that mean? Does he want a Clint Capella trade? Did he want Mike D'Antoni fired or Daryl Morey out? Like, what was it? And to me, I think this is some type of admission that part of what he wanted differently was Chris Paul moved. You have to believe the Houston Rockets don't make a trade of this magnitude if James Harden ain't signed off on it. You gotta believe that. You gotta know the Rockets wouldn't want to piss off their franchise guy and have him demanding the trade out soon, right? You gotta know James Harden signed off on this trade. And Chris Paul and James Harden, they went back and forth all this summer, especially Chris Paul denied reports that they're having issues. PJ Tucker stepped in and was like, people are lying on them, saying that the Rockets got beef, when there were multiple reports that Chris Paul and James Harden got into it multiple times. And right after the Warriors lost, Chris Paul and James Harden got into it in the locker room, and CP3 aired them out, right? The Rockets have denied this adamantly. Well, you're wrong, Houston. Y'all lying. PJ Tucker, you lying, bruh. Chris Paul, you lying, bruh. Harden, y'all lying. You guys are lying. The proof is in the pudding. The proof is you just traded a guy in Chris Paul who a couple years ago pretty much was a free agent. The Clippers ended up trading him technically, but Chris Paul chose to go to the Rockets, right? You traded this man to Houston in the last year of his deal with a under-the-table agreement. You still honor it. You give him a max extension. Obviously, the injury, I think this injury impacted Chris Paul's career forever. I think he'll never get over missing games 6 and 7 with that groin injury 2 years ago in the postseason, or a year ago rather in the postseason, right? You give this guy this deal, even with that being said, and you trade him a year later. Daryl Morey, the aggressive general manager, strikes again, ladies and gentlemen. Oklahoma City trades Russell Westbrook to the Houston Rockets for Chris Paul. 2 first ballot Hall of Famers traded for one another. One's 30, one's 34. Y'all stay tuned to my platform. If you have not done so, subscribe. I don't believe this is the last time we see Chris Paul traded this summer. Don't quote me on that. That's my guess, though. I'm out.
I came from nothing, but I want everything God has for me. I interview celebrities. I talk sports. I still represent the culture.
I got the kids. They are now tuned in.
Yo, we locked in right now, Mr.
Taliaferro.
Shout out to Mr. Taliaferro.
You're watching Mr. Taliaferro TV.
Mr. Taliaferro TV. Here with the triple B's, you can't do nothing but win.